covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.
Welcome in, fans of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast. Zach Kyleman in here, as always, alongside my good buddy, my good co-host, my good mysterious friend hiding in the shadows, Jim Mernier himself. Jim, come on out of there, will you?
Well, I don't want to.
Well, hey, we got a show to do, man.
Fine. See, there's an issue. There's a great philosopher out there called Bain. He's like, I live in the dark. I was adapted. I was born in it, But anyways, let me turn on the light, tell you where I'm at. Hey, hello, ladies and gentlemen, Jim Mernier. I am on location in my driveway today, so that's where I'm at today.
Great studio.
Great studio. But yeah, episode 25. Sorry, we did say we're going weekly last time, I think. We jumped the gun a little bit early. I do apologize, but man, we got loaded. Next couple of weeks, we got loaded content coming for you guys, and everything's picking up.
the runway to the season starts now for us, so we will. Yeah. That is now going to be committed weekly, starting this show. Mm-hmm. Just for those that are listening, you don't have to keep asking, when are we going to get the next episode? Trust me, every week now. You're going to get every week. One going into the season, and of course through August when we continue on into
Correct.
The 2022 NAL season. Jim, while we're starting up here, we got some new details, new things we're going to be doing with the show for this year. As for last episode, we were on YouTube now. So this is another YouTube edition, which means we're trying to pump up that group of people. We want you to check out our video versions. We'd love you to subscribe if you can. If you go and check us out by looking up Inside the Walls on YouTube, and hit that subscribe button. Follow us at InWallsPod on your favorite social platforms, that is. And we're doing giveaway milestones for the subs in terms of getting on YouTube. So how is this going to work? For every 100 subs, we're doing a different tier giveaway of sorts right now. So first 100 subs right now for YouTube, we're going to be doing a 2-ticket giveaway valuing between $10 to $25 to your game of choice. And it goes up gradually every 100, going up to 300 at the max. So 200 subs, $30 to $45 tickets. 300 maxed out, $50 to $60. So right now we're trying to get to those first 100, and we'll keep on promoting that as we go until we cap out, if you will, at our giveaways. But pretty exciting stuff. We're already a quarter of the way to the first giveaway. Once we hit 100, we'll randomly draw during the show that we hit 100 subs, and you could be winning some tickets.
And there's one stipulation. You must follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or one of our 4 social sites. You have to prove it to us. Yes. If you prove that says you're in the random draw, we'll announce it on the show, and then you have, I don't know, a week to get a hold of us, and you ask what game you want. And if you're not in the area of an NAL team, let's say you live in Wisconsin or Montana. The only reason why I said those 2 states because we have listeners there. Even Oregon, any NAL hat, any team that's in that value of that area, that range, can happen. So honestly, we get 300 followers, subscribers on Facebook or YouTube, wherever Milestone gets hit. In the very last stage, 3, and you can't make it to a game, you might get a jersey because that's how much those things cost. But it's only a jersey. You're not getting 2 tickets. We're trying to get you guys to go enjoy NAL football, the best arena league in the nation. Arena is key. But yeah, that's the thing. Is just help us. Unfortunately, the recording situation is different today. But hey, we're live. We're here on YouTube, and we did kind of hype Jonathan Bain this week. Unfortunately, schedules got a little tight, a little mixed. He will be on our show in later couple of weeks, but we still have some other great guests coming. Levesque and Gaz up in Albany are next week. The week after that is Aiden, who directed Inside the Lines, Columbus documentary. Warren Smith Jr. are all upcoming guests, and of course Jonathan Bain, all upcoming guests here on Inside the Walls podcast. So the road to week 1 is going to be incredible, and plus we have freaking training camps are about to start, so a lot of NAL action is about to pick up. But we have some news to touch up on that happened about 2 weeks ago that made a lot of fans, especially in the National Arena League, question the desperation of hate to say it, a city that has been completely disrespected for their football team, a proud tradition over there in Washington.
Yeah, we got to real quickly touch on it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's mostly because we've been asked about it, just kind of its effect and how serious it was. For those that aren't in the know in the arena and indoor community, the Spokane Shock at least they aren't existing right now. They aren't part of the IFL. They had their franchise basically stripped from the league for failing certain protocols, certain requirements that were asked of them. Some reports coming out of the area were talking about failed payments and other issues with employment. And one of those reports was that the NAL was going to be at least brought to the table. At least the Spokane Shock ownership was going to bring their team to the table and say, hey, can we join the NAL? And, well, it was flat out denied because, let's be honest, it was kind of ridiculous for many reasons. One, some of us we already talked to you about how we wonder, some people ask how San Antonio will deal with travel costs. I would very much ask the same thing with Spokane for even more reasons for the fact that they have to cover that. Also, if we're having money issues already, the NAL has been doing extensive behind-the-scenes vetting and different practices to try and do better at bringing organizations that are quality and set up. They've gone through many lumps. I know that the community has talked about this for its first several years. They've talked about it themselves. They want to get away from that stigma of dropping organizations. This just wouldn't help that. No. Flat out would be a terrible decision that way. It wasn't going to happen. It seemed ridiculous when it was even announced, and of course it didn't happen. And so that's all she wrote.
Well, honestly, the Spokane Shock, the organization, the city, when it was the Arena Football League, that place was jam-packed. They had great fans there. Had some, I think the quarterback back in the day was Rowley when they won the Arena Bowl. So they have traditions of winning. Problem is the owner of the Spokane Shock, this is not his first rodeo, and this is not the first time he's been in this situation. He's had previous workings with the National Arena League, and they both ended in bad ways. Mm-hmm. I feel bad for the city of Spokane. I feel bad for the Shock. Honestly, they're a great organization. I loved them when they came to Jackson, when the AFL. It's great matchups, especially when you schedule a team. You look at your schedule and you go, "Oh, we play Spokane this year. Yeah, is it in Jacksonville or is it crap? It's in Spokane. That's a loss." They had a great fan base, and I just feel bad for the organization. But to end that question, end the thing about the Spokane, I think it was WKRN, the news network, the Fox station there in Spokane, said that the Sam Adams, I think Sam Adams is his name.
Sam Adams, who's the owner,
reached out to the NAL to see if they could play in the NAL. Well, I'm just going to tell you this from the people I've talked to. The phone was ringing, and it went straight to voicemail from the NAL.
I don't disagree. Like I said,
you burn bridges, man.
Well, I mean, it's been a few weeks already, to say the least, with this story. Yeah. But again, it just seemed ridiculous when it was even introduced that they was going to be talked about. No. And I don't blame them. I would want nothing to do with that. And they knew it. That's why this didn't happen.
Well, because honestly, you can literally have another episode like the Extreme or the Lightning, Baltimore, or Tampa Bay Tornadoes located in Lakewood, Florida. You can have those issues, and people we've talked to, the NAL is done with that. They are not dealing with owners that think this is just a toy. They want owners that are actually committed to running an organization to produce quality football for fans and a stable community. And even though San Antonio might be out of reach where people talk about the driving expenses and travel expenses, at least they have an ownership group that is going full bore, who wants to make hey, we're the underdog. We know we're the underdog, and they're proving it.
Right. And, I mean, look, we've talked about how we don't know fully that we expect them to perform. I know that that's been our status quo. Some for folks maybe listening, going, hey, we rank them low on terms of roster scale and all that. But look, ownership wise, we've had nothing but good to say in terms of what we've talked about or in interactions with San Antonio. They're dedicated. I love what they've done.
Hector is
so far.
A great individual. We had him on our show a couple of months ago. At this point,
Yes,
it's a couple months ago. But we found out, honestly, that they actually have a podcast out there that kind of called us out a little bit, just a little bit. They didn't mention the name, but it's pretty cool that they have a podcast that covers their stuff, which is cool. I love more podcasts about the indoor game. I don't care if it's IFL or CIF, indoor game. They kind of called us out because we've kind of labeled them as the underdog. I do apologize, but you are a new team, but I think later in the show we're doing our updated power rankings before pretty much because all these players signed, we got to update it. We teased it a little bit on the Twitter account.
Oh boy.
Let's just say, to put everything to rest with Spokane first, just hopefully they get everything situated. Best thing they can do, honestly. The owner should sell the team, and someone else needs to pick it up and put it back. That's my opinion about it. But getting back to San Antonio, that power ranking, the reason why we keep putting it down low is like we look at your team. We know you got Brooks. Mispronounce his last name, Olivia. David Olivia, I think is the quarterback's name. And we look at Phil Barnett. He's a recognizable arena football player, played at Tampa Bay Storm. A lot of people forget that he played 2 seasons in Carolina, then he went to Albany. You guys have a little squad building, but earlier this week, you guys, San Antonio, traded for future considerations to the San Antonio or to the Albany Empire for David Pendell. And for our arena fans out there, we all know David Pendell, backup quarterback for the Albany Empire, played in fan control football last year, played in the XFL's backup to Flowers in Tampa, I think it was. He was backup in the Tampa Bay Vipers.
I don't know if that doesn't sound correct to me.
No. He was going to go to the XFL. That might be wrong, but we do know he played fan control football. We do know he played for the Albany Empire. Let's just say that your quarterback rankings improved because David Pendell is a type of I'm going to tell you right now, San Antonio fans, right now, Jim Renier, diehard Jacksonville Sharks fan, a established franchise in football, by the way. David Pendell gives you 4 wins, Art Mac. Out of a 12-game season, that's 4-8. You find a way to sneak 2 wins somewhere else, 6-6, you're a playoff team, especially with only 6 teams in the league this year. So that's how Pendell's good. And I'm pretty excited that he's going to be in San Antonio. Him and Philip Barnett already have a connection from their to their Albany days. It's going to improve. I think it was an interesting trade. And for me, thank God I'm not Orlando or Columbus. We don't have to see them the first 2 weeks. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. You're going to see a guy who's very mobile, has a rocket of an arm, and he has a nice touch on the football too. So he is going to be I know you guys love David, but I think Pendell, Debbie Pendell, is going to be the starting quarterback. Olivia, I think that's his last name. I might be pronounced.
David Olvera is how it is. Yeah, I think we keep adding extra I is what we're having. So apologies.
Apologies. So,
yes.
but yeah, San Antonio, we're showing you all the love right now. But right now, Pendell is a great addition, and he's going to make that quarterback room more stable right now. And don't be shocked if he's day 1 starter. If he is, he gives you 4 wins on Mac. Because I think that's my opinion.
See, I think that's why he was traded there. You know, I no offense to Chris Jeffrey or David Olvera there, but I think that's why. You know, you got those pieces that you're familiar with. You got someone that's been in the arena game that I think is, at least in terms of a few seasons now, whether it's the NAL as a backup, whether it's getting that FCF experience. Which, I mean, credit folks that follow the FCF. Yes, it's not even indoor. It's not arena. It's a weird Frankenstein creation of something that is similar to it. But
like 3-on-3.
But I mean,
that basketball league 3-on-3.
Right, exactly. But look, even with the NAL's limit on scramble ability, the way the rules are designed to limit that ability for QBs to get out of the pocket, that's still a weapon. That's still a viable piece. And David does have an arm. He does have a cannon. I think that's going to be a significant upgrade for the gunslingers. I still find this fascinating, his journey to this point, because man was signed on. He was pretty much hyped up as early on as the guy returning to Albany as it was looking like he was like starter type of hype. Like, look who's coming back. It's David Pindell. And then Mike Faithful gets signed on. I was like, all right, now it's competition. And then you hear about news he's going to Massachusetts. It's like, well, wait a second. So he's going to Mass, and we talked on the last show about one of the last shows where it's like he's going to Massachusetts. He's got to compete with Benefield over there, who's been a diehard starter for a minute, and then it's announced he's in the USFL draft pool and he's got a contract. And like, okay, now that's up for grabs and play. And then both those drafts go pass by, and now he's back here, and now his rights are traded to San Antonio, and we're going, okay, hey. Yeah. Whatever works for you, because be honest, San Antonio gives you a best opportunity to get some film, young man. Mm-hmm. That's going to give you your chance to get in there and play.
And a lot of San Antonio fans, if you're trying to dig into Pindell's career, he was the backup quarterback to maybe the greatest quarterback to ever play in the arena football. That's Tommy Grady. No, not Tom Brady. Tommy Grady. I did kind of made fun of that earlier this week, where it's like, Tom's back. Oh, Tom's the other Tom. But yeah, he played under Tommy Grady, who's one of the greatest or the greatest quarterback who ever played the game. There's a couple guys out there.
There's some debate there, but yeah.
Yeah, like Aaron Garcia, Bonner, and Nick DeLavia over in Arizona back in the day. Not the IFL type player. He was in arena football. Yeah. But he has experience, and usually young guys under experienced quarterbacks like Tommy Grady develop a skill in the arena game. Let's just say when he played against the Jacksonville Sharks last week of the season, he had 5 possessions and he threw 4 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. And it wasn't he back a quarterback going in the game. This game was competitive. It was a 1-score, 1-possession game, and Moss, like, you're out there. Yeah, they wrapped up the number 1 seed. Yes, that's kind of, you say, resting the team. Resting the quarterback, but still he came in and Albany did not miss a step, and that he still led them to the victory. And he's going to do well in San Antonio. I think the game plan, how they're building. I don't know what San Antonio. I watch a lot of their AAL games, and I'm trying to see what type of style they do. But one thing I noticed is I don't think it's the same offensive coordinator. May be wrong. They do a lot of shotgun in San Antonio. Maybe that's because it's the rule set in the AAL. And we did see a couple of shotguns in the NAL last year. Mason was in shotgun a lot for Columbus for a couple of games, but notoriously it's under the center, and it's 3-step drop and got to get the ball going. It's not like the IFL. You're shotgun, you throw the ball.
You aren't doing RPOs like crazy. Yeah. It's very much more quick drop backs, quick distribution, or you're setting up for the long bomb, or you're getting your big rumbling running back that should be a lineman in some leagues, getting going up the middle or something like that. So,
but I think me and you both agree that this trade was made to make Pindell the starter.
Yeah, I think that's if I educated guess, and obviously once we elaborate and get more on that, it's sounding like it. I would take a stab at that. That's why this trade went down.
Well, no, April 23rd at 7:00. Or 8 o'clock, wherever the kickoff time is.
Well, worst case scenario, we'll know then. But knowing you and I, we'll get that clarified soon.
And we got more clarification about Orlando. It's EJ Hilliard, and I did some research on EJ Hilliard. Homeboy has a credible award streak in the IFL. Now he's in the NAL.
No, he does. He does.
So Orlando, Lonnie Outlaw, Beavers, and EJ Hill. Orlando looks pretty scary good now too.
No, I've been.
It's gonna be a competitive league, dude. I'm just saying.
I think it is. Now credit with 6 teams. I think we had this conversation with our first season. Like, you're guaranteed to have that more. I think to have a better competitive year with 6 teams well knit. Obviously, the league, you want to see it expand. You want to get more options available. It is the National Arena League after all. So eventually, San Antonio is technically moving out there.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it is going to be a competitive season, to say the least. And, definitely pickups like that are part of the reason. Hilliard, I think after our last few shows, I've definitely looked into him as well. Yes, he has the numbers to back it up, and the, of course, professional and this legal. I think the NAL being more traditional arena better for the passing set. So, it's not less of the I have to do running out of necessity because I'm trying to run a traditional offense. It's, I could sling the rock most plays. Oh, sweet. Well, let's see what we can distribute this to. That's what I'm
there's been mobile quarterbacks have been very successful in the National Arena League. Bernard Morris, who played for the Jacksonville Sharks, and Montgomery Steele, the Orlando Predators. And you can go all the way back to back in the day with Chris Leak, even quarterbacks. Yeah, Chris Leak, former quarterback for the Florida Gators, played in the Arena League for a couple of years. He was very mobile. Mobile quarterbacks do have success in the National Arena League arena game period. As you know, the NAL is more set to the original AFL rules than what IFL is, but it's hard. A lot of the quarterbacks in the NAL are guys who are pocket quarterbacks and people who know how to play the ball. And there's a couple last year. Warren Smith Jr. led the NAL in rushing yards for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So, Jersey did a lot of read options out of I don't know how they did it, but
did a lot of jet sweeps too. That's one thing I remember with Jersey last season.
It's not common, but it's not rare. So you'll see quarterbacks running. So when people said quarterbacks don't run a lot in the NAL, they do. It's just it's not when you picture a scrambling quarterback, you don't tend to look in the NAL. You look in the other leagues.
Correct. I mean, that of the CIF is where you generally are leaning towards when you find that type of stuff. But I mean, I don't know. Hilliard, you're saying he's got some weapons. Like Lonnie Outlaw is a good one. They picked up Paris Mack more recently.
Yes.
Who's
big addition.
Had his stints with Columbus and Jacksonville. He's had some success in both. And they got him listed as a receiver DB for that option. But he's going to get his touches too. You got Quan Alfred who's listed there as well for Orlando. So I mean, they got pieces, and I think more and more as we're doing more shows and figuring this more out, because this is the year that they're doing Ironman. So talking to folks outside of this and folks in the league where it's like, remember, don't look just on paper. You gotta analyze what the positions are that they're trying to fill. Do these guys fit best with two position spots because the specialists are in play? And then we talked with others that are like, they talk about, the teams that have stacked on stars. Like, well, remember, we can also do rotating in players, and we got to do great at getting basically our lines, talking like hockey terms in a way. So everyone's got a different strategy this year. So like, we're also trying to pin out like what strategy is where, like Albany. Albany's definitely loading up on star talent, and it's looking like it's more of, we'll see how we rotate guys in and out. Carolina, it's looking similar-ish deal. Yeah. Orlando and Columbus building arena teams with Ironman focuses. That's kind of what it's looking like.
You can look at Albany's roster right now. What it looks like their mindset is like, okay, stop us. They're going to be the team that's like, we're going to score 80 points on you. Your goal is going to try and score 90 to beat us. Now, you look at teams like Jacksonville on their hand, they're getting more of an arena-based Ironman role. They have guys who can play both positions, and they're slowly like I added Veal, which is a great addition that happened 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. So it was in the last 2 weeks since our last show. And they also brought a veteran guy and Devin Wilson back, the NAL leading receiver back. So you got to get your guy, and you got Warren Smith, and you got Malik Henry, who played at Frisco last year. I always want to say Fresno. Is there a team out in Fresno?
No, nothing of the big three, but
so Jacksonville they're bringing back guys who they have arena experience, but also they're building. If you look at the guys who play on offensive line, they're not the big, bulky, big dudes you see. You see guys who, they can play a D line or a D tackle. So Jacksonville's building off a team like that. Columbus is the same way. Orlando is doing the same way, but you can tell the difference of how Carolina and Albany are building their teams. Carolina's coming off as, we're going to be very defensive. We're going to stop you. And we have weapons. We have, Jonathan Bain and DJ Myers and Kendrick Ings. They have a squad, but they look like they're more defensive this year. And I won't be surprised if Carolina at the end of the year has the best defense by stats in the league.
Well, they got Kenny Veal back too. I was waiting to see if they would have him back. Sure enough, signed back on.
Veal went to Jackson.
Right, that's what we're talking.
Oh, I'm talking about Carolina's defense.
Well, in that case, we can talk Trayvon Shorts.
Oh, and
Yes.
we got another guy too. Veteran NAL AFL defensive back, Mishan the Pitbull Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's been everywhere. He's been all Carolina. He's been in Orlando. He was in Jacksonville for, I think, 5 seasons in the AFL NAL switch. Veteran. He's getting up there in age, but the guy makes some big plays when you need a big play from a DB. And and you got freaking homeboy from Albany deciding to go to Carolina. He's going to lock down that Jack or the Mac. So Carolina is loaded up on defensive players, and they just hired Long, I think, as their DB coach. So they have a recent former player, coaching. So that Coach Rez, honestly, he ain't messing around this year. This ain't 2021 first 4 weeks of the season. Well, he ain't messing around this year.
Well, I'm talking. That's what you call building on last year. Momentum is how I see it. Why? I mean, even with the Ironman rules, like, hey, I'm going to build up. I did what I did last year, final weeks of the season, and invested my team with some free agent pickups that bolstered my playoff chances and got me in. And I'm just like, all right, we're going to get back to our championship ways that we were 2018, dominating Carolina Cobras offense with a bruising defense on the opposite side is what I get. And, more these signings, like I said, Robinson was a good one. And I think you gave me plenty more insight, you being the Jacksonville guy you are, with this one. I think that one really widened my eyes. Like I said, I loved Trayvon Shorts last year in Albany. He did an excellent job at his spot in linebacking duties. Second on the team in tackles, all NAL player. His rookie year in the NAL, came out to play. Manas and crew signed on very much a very talented linebacker, and Carolina's getting that guy. Now he was in that pool with the USFL, and I was thinking, I was looking at arena guys, you were looking at arena guys. I thought he was going to get there, so I was kind of surprised he's back here, to be frank. But
I don't want to get into that USFL. It's just to disrespect the indoor game. Gets to the outside.
We had one. There were a few.
Well, the offensive lineman. You got the offensive lineman from Orlando that went. But Grant not getting into the USFL, like, that guy's a stud. Darius Prince was rumored to be in the pool. I don't know if it was actually official.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised he wasn't looked at. But yeah, and Orlando, I think, have their linebacker. I think Bessie was his last name. Number 56 was in there. Orlando had a couple guys on.
Yeah.
And it's for me, who loves the indoor game, there's so much talent in the indoor game. It just makes me mad that they get overlooked every single situation.
I think it happens. I think, now credit. I think we're folks like us, and I think certain leagues are trying to change that. Get it back to a more prominent status like the AFL days. But that is going to take a little bit of time, unfortunately. So all you can do is just keep on moving on. You know what I'm saying? Right. One thing I will say, just kind of we said the lineman himself, Deshaun Dixon is who we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
That did make it to the USFL, which he'll be repping for the Predators. The Predators even congratulated him on social when that happened on draft night. So, glad to see somebody from the league moving on and getting their shot. Happy to see that. And yeah, hopefully the league keeps on bringing up stars and talent that can move forward with,
correct.
Kind of carrying that flag.
Yeah, and it's not disrespect, like, oh man, you went to USFL, how dare you, bro? If you go to USFL, go make your money, go shine. That's what these leagues are about, and the disgrace that these leagues get, especially the IFL and CIF, like, oh, it's an indoor game, it's not real football.
Yeah.
What did you say? Oh, it's not real football. What was the last word you said? Football. Oh, so it is football. Just saying.
Technicalities. It's all that it is. Well, it's just indoor. It's like, well, no, it's does it have a football in it? Yeah.
And also, one thing I get, it gets me mad is the indoor game, especially look at the outdoor game. I'm not going to bash your Chicago Bears, but like Cody Parkey, you're hitting the uprights, big up goalposts. Like, why are there more indoor kickers not in the game? Like, the goalposts are so much smaller to kick through. And
I know.
I'm like, it's just aggravating.
I mean, I will say I think more and more you're seeing, because that's just how these leagues have gone. There's no rebound nets right now in any of them, so I think slowly but surely that investment's getting there. I mean, heck, I know one team definitely learned its lesson from last year, and they aren't messing around. They picked up one of the best guys that we were also waiting to see where he would land. I thought he'd go. That's another guy I thought that maybe would make the USFL just because of how he's been doing in arena. Mr. Craig the Leg Peterson, we learned, thanks to your snooping, as I understand, he is going to Columbus.
Me?
So,
Oh.
no, you. Yeah, so Mr. Craig Peterson's going to Columbus now, shoring up a team that, if we're talking about, as much as I hate to say it, we're talking about weaknesses for the Lions last year. Something that did kill them, at least in terms of their matchups against Albany. Yeah, that's you're recruiting the guy that really did hurt you a lot of times in those 3 meetups. Craig can hit your deuces. Craig can hit your extra points consistently. Guy's got the arena dimensions of that field goal, of those goalposts down to a science. I don't think you're going to have any problems in that department.
Yeah. He was the best kicker in the NAL all year long. TC Stevens had a better second half than him, but Craig the Leg in the NAL championship is the reason why when your team scores a touchdown and you're getting 9 points every trip, except for just 7, that it gets to you. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think it's either 6 to 9 points that were left on the board by Columbus, based on what Albany was doing. Because Columbus was matching them with Columbus, I think, had more touchdowns than them in the game and lost.
Yeah, that was what was nuts. Is like, that we had you remember that exchange back and forth, how it was going with Columbus and Albany in that first half. Really was a fun, entertaining game overall. But that first half, people remember a lot. It's just that, the Lions, they could not convert their extra points. It kept on biting them as that went on. I mean, credit, they ran out of gas second half was what really happened. But you got to still be able to keep up. You got to be able to kind of stay in striking distance. Eventually, those add up. And it led into a touchdown, almost a touchdown deficit of extra points and points left off the table because then they had eventually go into 2-point conversions. One of those failed. It just compiles. Yeah. So get yourself a guy that can land you some kicks. That's what Craig's here for. And that they learned their lesson. That's what I'm saying is they learned their lesson from last year. They're not going to make the same mistakes. They got the MVP quarterback returning. Who, trust me, you just give him a receiver to throw to, he's going to deliver the ball accurately and on a dime. You get that touchdown from him, you get your guys that are reliable on the opposite side, like Desmond Reese, just kick the field goals and get those deuces.
And also, off of kickoffs, if he doesn't hit the deuce, the guy's not afraid to lay a hat. No. I've seen some videos of him laying the hat on people. I'm like, he's a kicker. And usually, if you're a DB and you're going for the end zone, you get mopped by a kicker, that's embarrassing. And Craig Peterson, he hit sticks him. He's going up to that wall. He's trying to do that 2000 arena football game, trying to knock you over the wall. He will. There's videos of him doing that in an arena game. Who do you play for in the AFL?
We played for the Destroyers, and
Destroyers.
That was my introduction to him. Actually, is through that team, because I went to a game and watched him play. It wasn't the one that he demolished someone on a return, but that definitely was like, hello, and nice to meet you. Who are you? No, he was really good. He's been really good in the AFL, and he's been great in the NAL as well. Like, dude's delivered.
Yeah, like we stated before, Albany and Columbus last year were even. They were both teams were even. What they were different, the difference between the two teams was special teams, and that cost the game.
Yes, it did.
That's why Albany is the 2021 NAL champions, and Columbus has just been to 3 championship games without a trophy. Special teams is a big factor in the arena game.
Yes, no, absolutely. Now, what I'm actually curious now, because my thought was if Craig didn't go to the USFL, I thought that Albany would come a knocking again. And be
me too.
You want to come back. And so far, now this is just based on the websites again, and I just off recollections of anything, I'm not very aware of who their kicker is right now.
Jacksonville doesn't have a kicker.
I mean, I know those spots can get filled last minute enough. You know, the sign off the street guy, but Albany. I mean, Craig's even from that area. I was kind of shocked that went down. Maybe someone, as we've been hearing, someone offers a bit more, or certain situations.
Well, there is no cap
for somebody. You want to go play for someone too, like a Jason Gibson. So, that kind of shocked me a little bit. But Columbus gets their guy. Albany will address it when that time comes.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a plan there.
And also, we didn't mention his name on this podcast because apparently we recruit players to teams. We've done it in Carolina, and now we've done it in Albany, Coach Manas. You got Coach Manas was on the Levesque and Gaz podcast a couple of weeks ago. I was listening to our good friends up there in Albany. And Manas literally said, I was listening to a podcast, and they said Antoine Grant. And I'm like, there's only one podcast out there that talked about Antoine Grant that week, and that was us. So, Manas, we would like to get a scouting payment, please. But thank you, Coach, for still listening to the program, bud. But, yeah, I was surprised Craig didn't get signed, and now that he's in Columbus, he's a weapon. Like I was talking to Mason Espinosa, who is a friend of the show. We are very constant communications. He told me, man, Craig's not just a kicker; he's a weapon. And I was like, yeah, that's what Albany used him. He wasn't just a kicker; he was a weapon. And when your kicker is a weapon in the indoor game, you're going to win a lot of football games because he's giving you that extra 3 points after every touchdown. And 9 plus 9 to 7, it's 2-point differential. That does add up after a couple possessions. And for Columbus, who's been, I think they've had like 2 seasons where their kicker was just an issue. Because I think 2 years ago they had their kicker go out with an injury. Last year they had a offensive lineman kick for 2 games. Mm-hmm. Well, from what I've heard, we're going to see that in the documentary coming up, Inside the Lines. I think it starts in April again. Great series. If you haven't seen it, ladies and gentlemen, go on YouTube, the Columbus Lions on YouTube. Watch episode 1, episode 2. You get to see the inside of the arena, basically, of what the team is. And this really, this is like it's literally like Friday Night Lights, but in my opinion, better, because there's some crazy stuff that happens, especially the next episodes come out about luggage locked in the car in Jersey. It's gonna be interesting. But yeah, for overall, Columbus getting the addition of the kicker for Columbus makes him a weapon, and you already have the MVP and the best. I'm gonna say it because he's a friend of the show, it's not because he's a friend of the show. So Mason, don't get cocky with this. From what I've seen so far this week and all the football, especially inside the arenas, Mason's still the best quarterback in the game right now.
Feels that way. I would.
That's if Grady doesn't come out. Oh my God, who's that in Arizona? Grady. Where the heck is he playing? But no, I'm trying to get WWE a little act. But yeah, I think Mason, he is the best quarterback in the league. And I think he's the best quarterback in the indoor game right now. But there's still half the IFL to play yet. But that's to what I've seen this last weekend. Yeah, it's hands down, he's the best one.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I think when we do our power rankings here in just a minute, like I said, you have your NAL MVP from last year. Now you got, arguably could have been the top NAL all NAL team kicker last year. Besides, I mean, hey, I thought like TC Stevens makes a good argument, but I was surprised Craig didn't jump over. But to each their own, they vote on the league votes on these things
before the playoffs.
So yes, before the playoffs too. No dissing to TC Stevens because dude is also an excellent kicker in terms of hitting the deuce.
And the kid, was it Burns and Orlando?
Well, Dylan Barnos over in Orlando. That talk about someone that was a later signing, local kid. Came in, they re-signed him this year. They saw his talent last season and went, yeah, we're not letting him go if he's available. Good kickers in arena are definitely not a dime a dozen. They are a luxury.
Most likely Jackson was going to get Brandon Bear back. He's a local guy.
I would have thought, as long as he wants to play, I would think they get that done.
If he says, Coach, I want to play, Jackson's like, here.
Right. Well, now, think of this way too, Jim. Every I say the big three again for those who don't realize I'm talking the CIF, IFL, NAL. The big three, all of them have a point rule in terms of kickoffs in some shape or form. You got the under 2 minutes rule in the IFL, where if you hit from across in a kickoff, that's a deuce. You got the NAL's deuce rule, and in the CIF, it's the Uno rule. So, all the leagues, it's an offensive strategy for special teams. So you want to get someone that is a professional like that. We now know 3 teams off the top of our head that are like, okay, they got guys that we know can nail these things on a consistent basis. If Bear comes back, that's 4 of the 6 right off the top of the cuff. Easy.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed, I don't know who the kicker is for Mass. This past week in the IFL, he was pretty decent, but Ricky Aguayo for the Frisco Fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, man, he was everywhere. Like
that was while we're waiting for the NAL to play, we're watching the other leagues, and that was something too. There's some wide lefts, wide rights.
And both, like I think it was in Quad City, Sioux City, or not Sioux. Was that Sioux?
We had Sioux City play. You had Sioux City play Topeka in the CIF. Quad City play the Sioux Falls Storm.
Sioux Falls. That game, there was a field goal attempt. Forgot who was kicking it, and it literally went 2 yards downfield and 40 yards into the stands.
Well, if you're watching Quad City, they couldn't get the snap offs for their extra points the entire game.
They were kicking in like the goal post is that way, not that way, that way. And yes. I'm like, I feel bad for the kickers. And like, I'm not bashing the IFL, but it was some bad football this weekend in the IFL. Just saying.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a whole nother story. But to add to your point, kicking. If you thought it was already hard to find consistently good ones in outdoor leagues, indoor it is much more on a focus.
Yeah, because it's not like kickers in the NFL where you can miss 4 or 5 field goals, maybe 2 in a game, and you still have your job. In the arena game, you miss 3 field goals, you're not even getting back in the locker room. The coaches of these teams are like, you take your left right over there. You're done.
Right, like we were talking about with Barnes. The Predators had Jorge Leon to start the year. He was not doing the job, so Barnes coming in and basically solidifying. I mean, guy was knocking down deuces on a regular basis.
I think his first kickoff was a deuce to start off his career in Orlando, and I think I want to say that was either against Jersey or Jacksonville when he first had his first game, and it was just like the guy didn't miss anything. It's like he was making everything.
I want to say it was Jax. I'm pretty sure it was Jacksonville, that second matchup.
Yeah, it was like the only game of the week. That was like on week 5 or week 6 of last year. So, yeah, it was a pivotal playoff switch game that turned out to be not really pivotal for that game. At the time it was, but not as the season progresses. Sure. Yeah.
I feel you. Tell you what, Jim.
Yeah.
Talking about playoffs, talking about our ranks.
Yeah.
Got several signings under the belt. Season's coming closer. Training camp's coming closer, so we're going to be doing cutdowns much soon. Remember, we got to get to that 25-man roster there. So,
yes.
I mean, that's not there yet, but nonetheless. Let's talk power rankings, shall we?
All right, how you want to do this? From 6 to 1 or 1 to 6?
6 to 1. Let's make it 1 suspenseful.
Okay. My number 6. Well, I know we were praising him early in the show, but unfortunately, number 6 is still the San Antonio Gunslingers. But you're getting close to the number 5 seed, in my opinion. But Pindell's a great addition. You got Phil Barnett there, and you got a guy named Brooks that I've seen in the AAL highlights of them last year. Guy can make some plays. They have a couple other guys I've noticed have NAL experience and arena experience, so they're going to be very competitive. You can be number 6 in this power ranking, and you still might win 5 games. And I think this league is going to be very competitive, and I honestly believe that we're going to be in like week 12 and have a scenario where no team is clinching a playoff spot. We can potentially have that type of season. So my number 6 is the San Antonio Gunslingers, unfortunately.
I am also doing that. Again, it's uncertainty. David Pindell going there does boost it for me. I'll give you that. I think that was a good pickup, and I'm still trying to figure out, where, how much more I can get out of looking into San Antonio from last year too. So I'm trying to do my due diligence. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just basing my rankings off of what's the rest of the league got that I know more concretely and that has been in these higher tier leagues. Remember, the Gunslingers are coming from the AAL. That doesn't mean that you should expect that fully, but I'm just saying that, if you have certain talent pools from the IFL that have been in that ring and they're coming down to the NAL, or they're NAL, cornerstones in many of these other teams, I'm going to give them a little more preference. That's what I'm doing right here.
Correct.
Until I'm proven wrong, which I will gladly eat my crow during the season. But right now, I got to put them at 6. And it's mostly the uncertainty factor, just trying to feel this out. Simple as that.
All right, so San Antonio both. What do you think right now based on their roster, their win total, in your opinion?
In terms of wins?
Mm-hmm. I say 4-8 right now because I think Fidel gives them at least 4 wins.
I think I'll be generous. I'll give them 5 and 7.
Oh, that's impressive. That's not
5
bad.
and 7.
That's toying with the postseason. That's toying with the 4 seed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, I mean, we saw last year it's possible to get to that.
Yeah.
If you have a top-heavy league, like, trust me, with at least Albany and Columbus, it's going to be possibly top-heavy again. Just 2 teams sucking up all the oxygen in the room.
Probably.
with all the wins. So it's possible. 5 and 7, you could. I mean, Jersey almost got in last year with that, and they were extremely hot and cold all the way till the bitter end. So
yeah, and Jacksonville almost made it, and we didn't even belong in that conversation.
Well, I mean, last ditch effort, Jonathan Bain was there.
Yeah.
You had Albany, trying to preserve itself for the playoffs. You're close.
You were the chosen one, Bain.
And now he's with now he's on the sister team, essentially.
Yeah.
What we call that. So
So let's go to number 5, and this is in my opinion where it gets a little clustered. I think I'm not bashing San Antonio, but I think the next 5 picks, the remaining 5 teams, are a lot closer to each other where it could be flip-flopped like very easily, based on maybe a move here. But these are rosters from 5 to 1 we know very well because we cover the league. My number 5 is the arch rivals from down south in the state of Florida, down I-4. That's the Orlando Predators. The reason why I have them at number 5 is I think they're the mindset that they have right now. I think they have a good special teams. EJ Hilliard, in my opinion, is going to be very impressive. And I think Jacksonville and Orlando, I think these 2 teams, and you can maybe throw Carolina in there, they're going to be flip-flopping all year. There's going to be 1 week where Jacksonville's the 4 and Orlando's the 3 and Carolina or Columbus is the 5. They'll be flipping everywhere because I think these next 3 teams for me are very even.
Yeah.
I have Orlando because I just look at that roster and I'm going, you got a fullback / linebacker, Maxwell. That's just Desmond Maxwell. I think is very underrated. One of the better linebackers / fullbacks in the league. You have I almost said laughing now, excuse me. You had Lonnie Outlaw, who is a damn good receiver, back from the Philadelphia Soul. And plus, him and Columbus and his antics on inside the lines, you got to love Outlaw. He's one of my favorite receivers in the league. And you look at the team, the kicker. You have a weapon as a kicker. If you have a weapon as a kicker, you're going to be good. I have Orlando right now as number 5. I have Orlando as a team that's 6 wins. That's 6-6, 20-7. Because I've done a lot of league simulations. Simulations, not simulations. And Orlando is always somehow in every single, version of the simulation is 7 wins, 6 wins, nothing less, nothing more. And I think that might be right there around 7-5 and 6-6, and that could be a 4 seed, possibly a 3 seed, depending on everything else. But Orlando's going to be the team from last year where they're going to have games you go, what are you doing? And you're going to have games you go, damn, that's a good defense. That's a good offense. Because we saw even in an 8-week season last year, we saw both of those stories in Orlando. And I think Orlando's going to be the same way. I think it's going to be very competitive. And I got my number 5 right now just on their roster. Now, if they get some other additions from what I've been hearing, might change our next power rankings. But right now, I have them at 5.
Yeah, they're making it. I also have them at 5, but they're making it harder for me every new signing. for me to keep them there. I almost want to flip them in Jacksonville right now. Ooh, spoiler alert, by the way. But I don't know. Like Hilliard, the more I look into him, the more I'm like, I like the signing there. Cato as the backup is someone that you can have quality if you need to switch out. And receiving core, Paris Mack, I really did like the signing as a dual player. Lonnie Outlaw, I was already excited for that too. Larry Beavers being there as well. Desmond Maxwell, I've been high on Desmond Maxwell ever since I got to talk to the guy in person.
Fan of the show.
Yeah. I mean, dude's great. And he's very much I'm just excited to get my chance to do this setup with Iron Man, but underrated as a fullback. Guy has wheels for his size. And we saw last year. He gets an open space, he can take off.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I've seen it twice against Jacksonville last year.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, there's Desmond Maxwell.
And then we can't.
There he goes. Touchdown.
We can't forget, the secondary for Orlando is going to be back too. Jenkins and Fuentes are going to lock it down. I liked what they did for Orlando last year. They made a great team. They're going to be in a lot of games. And I think Predators is going to be hard for me to keep them at 5 because I think they brought a lot of key guys back. And even though they lost some of their offensive pieces, they retooled to where I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing here. I can't complain,
Yeah. And what's going to be unique is that first week game when they go to San Antonio. So when we look at our that power ranking 5-6, if we think, me and you believe what Orlando could be, I know San Antonio's being hyped and getting, got to have more than Barnett and Pindell to be an Orlando team. And that could be a sign that Orlando, honestly, can I kind of say this? I think Orlando is dark horse to win it all in this whole league.
Ooh.
So I'm just saying that's how tough, that's how I'm so stoked for this season is because all these teams in the league besides San Antonio right now, because there's still a lot of questions about San Antonio, they can all win it. They all have talent on their team. They all have quarterbacks on their team to win it all. Orlando, it's just that predator nature, man. It's just that Higgins, he did something as a coordinator last year that made Orlando that team in the second half that you didn't want to play. They were that 3 seed that you did not want to play. Unfortunately, they ran into a buzzsaw called Mason Espinoza. But yeah, that happens a lot. But yeah, spoiler alert, I think they're dark horse to win it all. And if things fall their way, possible. But right now for me, I have them at 5, you have them at 5. So we both agreed about Orlando. They have the squad. They really do.
Par for the course so far. I did tease my 4.
Oh, I've praised this team a lot. We have a lot of fans. We have a couple of owners that love us. Coaches have talked to us. This is going to shock people. My number 4 is the Columbus Lions.
What?
Here's the reason why. You got Mason, best quarterback in the league. You have, Desmond Reese. You have Jermon Fortson. You have some and you got Craig DeLeg. There's a lot of question marks on that defensive side of the ball still. That's the only reason. Right now, their offense is going to match up with anybody. Mason back there is going to match up with anybody. Like I said previously, the next 3 teams on my list, you can flop them because they're that even. Like literally flip of a coin, that's who I'll pick for that week. Am I saying that Columbus is going to finish 4th in the standings at the end of the year? No, I don't think so. Do I think they're going to be a team that's going to host home field for the first round? Most likely. But right now this is based on rosters. We don't know what they look like in the gameplay yet. And there's a key factor. How are these coaches are going to do the Ironman substitution stuff? That's also a big issue. But yeah, I have Columbus at number 4. Now, if it was based off quarterback rankings, no. The Columbus is literally number 1 because of Mason. But right now, by just offense, if you did offense rankings, they're top 2, in my opinion. But defense, still question marks on that side. But I think Columbus is that type of team. And I will not be surprised if Mason finally hosts the trophy again. And if he does win a championship, I better be the first damn one to give it to him. Or me and you should be there. No, Chris Siegfried. No, we wanted this man to win it from day one. We're interviewing. Right when he's holding his trophy, now still a trophy and just haul ass with it. But so you still can't get the trophy of Columbus. But yeah, I have a Columbus at 4. But this is the type of situation I can tell you right now. Columbus is not missing the playoffs. They're making the postseason no matter what. But I have them at 4 right now, just based on their offensive side of the ball. Defense still main questions, in my opinion.
Sure. You know what? I mean, I can't argue with that. I'm going to hold off my discussion on where I have in Columbus for a little later.
Okay.
But I will discuss why I got Jacksonville at 4.
Not shocked.
I look, I think that they're retooling to be a playoff team this year. Obviously, as you've said, they're not going to miss the playoffs again. So they were definitely going to build up. Warren Smith, definitely, underrated last year and is one that's been a consistent top threat, at least in the NAL for some time. Won an MVP for crying out loud in the
2017
NAL at one point. So, dude's a great passer. He's got some key weapons back, like Devin Wilson, of course. We'll thank him on the opposite side too. I liked seeing Kenny Veal getting back this week. I think that gave me a boost of confidence, which is why I still have him a bit over Orlando. But I think again, Orlando's making it hard for me to not put Jacksonville at 5 right now. I don't see Jacksonville better than the top 3 that I have of the remaining. Just when it comes to Carolina, Columbus, and Albany. Like Albany and Carolina, they just have more star power that's been stacked up. I'm going to be frank. Columbus, which I'll eventually add into my argument on this, they're just building their team like a Iron Man team. And that's why they're higher up. Jacksonville, I'm like, okay, they made some retools, but they did lose a few pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see how this pans out together. Simple as that. I think that they'll win games. I just don't know if they'll be top 3 in the NAL winning games. I think that they could be sneaking in winning games is how I see it. In a tough 6-team league. Keep that in mind.
And they also get the benefit out of the 2 extra games.
That's true. Yeah. You have to also worry about fatigue with that.
Correct. They don't have a bye week. Them and Carolina do not have a bye week this season. It's straight 14-week season for them, plus playoffs.
Jesus, I get that, that was kind of a schedule thing when that happened, but I still cannot sit here and go, man, you used to have week after week beating yourself up, and then you got 2 teams, you got 4 of the teams in the league going, yeah, we got 2 bye weeks, no big deal. We'll heal up our guys. It's all good.
Yeah, that happens.
It happens.
But so you have San Antonio, Orlando, Jacksonville. I have San Antonio, Orlando, and Columbus.
That is correct.
So the next 3 picks, ladies and gentlemen, most likely for me and Zach, these teams are guaranteed going to be in the postseason this year. For me, number 3, no shock, the Jacksonville Sharks. And basically is the same thing as you said. But there's 2 guys on this Jacksonville Sharks team that no one are talking about. Well, maybe because we're the only podcast that talks about the league. That we're not talking about. Naquan Murray is a wide receiver that they just got off the free agency a couple months ago, and Rob Jones.
Yes,
a wide receiver who played in Orlando, but he made his name with the New York streets. He was a National Arena League all-time leading receiver or all-time receiver that year.
Yeah, I remember you messaging me about that one. You got really pumped up about him.
I saw him. And I was like, oh crap! I thought he went to the IFL or CIF. No, he was in Orlando. Had an injury in Orlando, so he's with the Jacksonville Sharks. And another guy that possibly no one's talking about is the linebacker / fullback that we signed of Anthony Johnson. You may have known him from the Seattle Dragons. He's a pretty good beast. And of course, I think Jacksonville has probably the best quarterback room in the league. You have Warren Smith Jr. and you have Malik Henry that has great experience as a backup that can come into a game and the team will not miss a beat. So you won't see likes of Connor Kagi and Danny Southwick and people getting thrown in there in the last second to establish something. So Jacksonville will have more established base. But Jacksonville has beefed up their defense, in my opinion, with Veal. Who is NAL vet. He's good. He basically, I want to say when he played for Carolina, he's the reason why they won the championship. He had some key picks in 2018. Plus, he was paired up with Michon Robinson in Carolina. So that was it's a hell of a DB core when you have Michon and Veal. But Jacksonville, in my opinion, defensive side of the ball got a little beefed up. I think, like what you said, they've built this team to make the playoffs. Are they building this team to win a championship? Well, your goal is to make the playoffs, get in the tournament. Anything can happen, especially in the rainy game. But right now, from what they had last year, the disgrace that was last season, Jackson was like, no, we ain't doing that. We are going to be a postseason team, and it starts with this roster. And they're being kind of conservative with the signings, too. They're not going after big players, big signings. There's still a couple of receivers out there that played last year in the NAL that haven't been signed yet. Some veterans like Joe Hillis is one of them. So there's still people out there. But for right now, if the season started today, I think Jacksonville is a 7-win team. So 7-7, possibly 6-8. But right now, based on roster size and just based on couple additions on defense, is the reason why they're better Columbus in my power ranking. Now, if they play on the field, they play 3 times, 2 times in Columbus this year. I say Columbus wins the series 2 games to 1. Right now, based on the performance. So,
okay.
Arizona, I got Jacksonville number 3, but overall season performance, I still think Jacksonville is going to finish below Columbus in this overall standings as of right now.
Not bad enough. Number 3 for me here. I've got Carolina at 3.
Ooh.
Yes. This is where we're getting into, I think the heavy hitters.
Correct.
Because I'm going to see, much like last year, I see the NAL going to be very top heavy to where you'll have a losing record team jump in at that 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carolina's going to be a winning record team. It won't be like Orlando last year where they split even. I think you're going to see somewhere along the lines of they'll finish 8-6. Mm-hmm. But this is, we talk about momentum, like how Coach Rez is taking, I'm going to take that investing in free agent signings kind of setup I had at the end of the year to get me in the playoffs. I'm just going to make a good roster or a roster that looks great on paper out of the gate.
Yeah.
And that has plenty of talent to resort to out of the gate. I mean, especially talk about line play in particular. I mean, they got a Derek Ziegler out there who is first team All-NAL 2018 and 19, who's coming into this roster. So one of the biggest problems with them last season, up until they shorted up, line issues. Good to have that set up. Not to mention they have components. We're talking about Jonathan Bain already. DJ Myers going over there. You have folks like Kendrick Ings, return specialist he is, as well as receiving. Donovan Raspberry going to come over there too. If we're talking in the defensive section, Joe Powell should be healthy this year. Chris Page coming over from Orlando is going to be in there too this year, shoring up that secondary. There's a lot of key talent. I think I talk about strategy of rotating guys around in those lines. Or Carolina is one of those teams that, if I'm guessing that's what they're doing, this is a very much like we're figuring and choosing who comes in and out where type of team. A lot of star talents, but they're going to have to make decisions on how they rotate this roster in and out and how they adjust things on the fly. Not to mention, while we're talking weapons, TC Stevens again coming back as well. NAL, all NAL kicker in his own right. They have a lot of talent here. I think that, to me, it comes down to the strategy and also the fact that you have another team in Albany that's doing what I imagine is the same deal with even more of that, high brand recognition talent that they're doing it with. That's why there's 3. They're going to be better seeded this year. I just want to see how this pans out because they're building the roster very much like it's traditional NAL, not looking like an Iron Man team.
Yeah.
We'll find out how they do it because I don't see many split position guys on this roster. I'm being honest, Jim. It's a lot of specialty one position guys, and that could change. That could change.
Yeah, so I'm just going to jump to number 2 for me because number 2 for me is the Carolina Cobras. Okay. Basically, what you just said is exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
That offense, in my opinion, is going to be freaking legit. Jonathan Bain, when he played for the Maine Mammoths, that man lit up everything in Maine. I think missed the playoffs. I think by a tiebreaker. That's the reason why they didn't get in. He lit it up there. He went to Jacksonville and lit it up there too. And just not the last game of last season, but still.
Right.
Jonathan Bain, in my opinion, with Myers and Kendrick Ings, and another addition of Joe Powell can either play DB or receiver, so he's going to be a guy that's going to play both positions. I think that's what he has on the roster. But if you look at the Carolina overall, Coach Rez is building up that defense. and he already has his offense established. One
Mm-hmm.
thing that hurt Carolina last year was the turnover bug. And
That's true.
I think Coach Rez is like, we're not dealing with that. We're bringing in a veteran receiver. We're going to bring in a veteran quarterback who's been in not just the NAL, but arena leagues, and the style of the arena league. Rez is like, I've built a championship team. I'm going to build a championship team here. We have 14 weeks. Let's see if we can get the 8 wins or 10 wins. Like, I agree with you. I think Carolina will have a win total of 10 wins or 8 to 10 wins. I think they have that type of team because they play 14 games. So they have 4 games against Jacksonville. And if based on, I could say Carolina wins 3 of the 4. Possibly they split, but Jacksonville, in my opinion, or Carolina, in my opinion, how their roster's big. I've been on them big all year long, and I still am. I still think they have probably one of the best rosters in the league. And like in every single arena league is going to come down to quarterback play. And it's Jonathan Bain is capable of hosting the trophy and be Carolina's second trophy in the NL. And I think they do have the team to do it. And that's why I have them at number 2. I have them going 9 wins. I think they are 9-5 type of team this year. And that'll be winning percentage battle between them and Columbus, who gets the 2 seed. But that 2 and 3 matchup, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be it's going to be Carolina and Columbus. It's going to be a hell of a matchup in the playoffs.
Yeah, it will be. I didn't even mention the linebacking course. I mentioned shorts. Remember Zach Brown's with the
Oh yeah, I forgot about Zach Brown. Yeah.
Oh, you know.
Yeah, he's a former Georgia Firebird. We don't want to talk about that team, but he is also a former Jackson Shark. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He actually, it was fun. It was kind of interesting when he actually signed off. He was like, "Don't worry, fans. I'm just going over to a different team this year." But it was like almost like trying. He to said that on one.
He said that in one of his chat rooms,
right? Say again.
He said in one of the chat rooms, right?
Yeah, he said in one of the Facebook groups that we're in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm not leaving. I'm just going to number 10. And I was like, but you're leaving Jackson. Oh yeah.
There it is. my number 2 is Columbus, and I'm gonna elaborate more on my point that they're building like an Iron Man team. I think that's kind of, as we talk more and more about going into the season, Iron Man rules I think are going to change a lot of things. They definitely will for strategy, but team building was what I was curious to see. Columbus is doing what I was wondering if they would do, which is kind of not only, of course, look at budgeting out who is going to fit in, but also who's going to fit the Iron Man scheme better in terms of the NAL, and they definitely, if we're looking at their roster, you have a lot of guys, that are designated as the 2-way starters, and again, this could change. It could be technicality based on how they, of course, the league is listed out transactions and all that. I know that's up
especially how the league is supposed to sign. You have to have these many players on contract.
Yep.
To them going to training camp, and that's when you decide if they are that 2-way player or they're going to be that special. I think that's debatable. I think that's up to coach's discretion on what positions they play.
Of course, that is, you're entirely right. But I mean, a lot of their signings so far have been 2-way guys that are like, we're going to get these, we're going to get them underneath, and we're going to have them fight. We got guys like Rodney Hall that are going to be doing two-way. I believe I saw one of the signings. I think Maurice Leggett, you're going to see on there. I was glad to get him as a key piece coming back there. Mason Espinoza, of course, was happy to get them too. Desmond Reese, you imagine, will get a much more greater role. Corey Crawford coming back was a nice signing for fullback, and he'll be playing defensive line from the looks of it as well. Craig Peterson, as we talked about, shoring that up. I think that they're building, they still have some pieces to go up. Ken Washington, I'll even add on that too. But nonetheless, they're building a roster that has folks that are designed to go 2-way, less about having to juggle the rules and who's in, who's out, who's dead, is what it's looking like. And that, to me, I think you're going to get possibly a better trained team for this setup that you can say, it might not be star power that leads the way, but it's one that's more built to succeed as a unit.
Yeah.
2, I think that, it definitely will it takes more advantage of the Iron Man setup, of course. So, I'll even add on like Cavante Pope, another one that's been listed two-way starter too, that I think that's gotten some praise from people. That's where I've got it. Iron Man is what if I'm leaning into a team that's built for the setup and the new league rule scheme, that's why they're 2. Jason Gibson's just also a damn good coach.
Yeah, he is.
Guy gets his players ready. Columbus has been one of the marquee organizations for years, either outside the NAL or in when they helped found it. They just haven't gotten the championship yet, but I mean, they're setting themselves up. I think
they're a winning organization.
Well, yes, they're one of the most winningest organizations in the league. You can't deny that. They're setting themselves up. I think they're gearing with the rule set to be in their favor to try and make a run to get their first NAL championship. I think this is the way they want to build it. They want to be like, we'll take the best advantage of not having to fool around with all the mixed, confused who's in, out, and keeping track of our players. We'll just have the best damn roster that's fit for this style right out the gate.
Yeah, I agree. I think what I've stated before, they go as far as Mason goes. And if Mason puts on a performance from last season, again this season, I won't be surprised if they host a trophy.
Mm-hmm. I've got them 9-3. That's my record for them this year.
Not bad. Like I have them toying with them and Carolina are going to be bouncing back and forth to the 2 and the 3 all season. And like what you said, the top 3 in this league are basically like what happened last year. The top 2 ran really the league, and it was just a top-heavy league, while the bottom 3 just, can we find a way to just sneak in to be that 4 seed? Can we be that Cinderella story? But yeah, I agree with you. I think those top 3 teams, Carolina and Columbus, and plus, not shocker, me, you both have the number 1, and that is the Albany Empire or Albany Empire.
We both have them at that, so
I'm gonna just tell you 3 reasons why I have Albany as number 1. No, I'm not gonna be like. No, I'm not gonna do that. 3 reasons why I have Albany at number 1. No, they don't have a kicker, we know, but we're not gonna give Manas any hints on who to go after, because we do know he listens to the show. Here's three reasons why. Antoine Grant, Darius Prince, Jordan Williamson, that receiving corps. They basically loaded up. I think is it Laughing House on the roster too?
No, Laughing House went to Billings. He's in the CIF.
Billings. Okay. Yeah. I thought I saw something, but you still those 3 receivers right there.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Mike Faithful, who is a NAL championship quarterback. Recently played in Albany under the Empire. He was a backup to Grady, so he knows the system. And Manas, we love Manas. We know how Albany is, but you look at their overall roster, you just take away the kicker because they don't have one yet. They're basically bringing back everybody of note besides Malachi Jones. And Shorts, of course, who went to Carolina. But that team is loaded, bro.
I think they retooled even to where I'm like, how did they get more people on paper where I'm like, they look better, And credit, this is again strategy based on what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of switching up the sheets and finding out who's going to be able to maximize their time.
How do you lose Tommy Grady, but your roster gets better?
Well, yeah, they got Faithful, but like Grant, they have listed as a 2-way. Like out of all the specialties, I'm surprised he's already listed as.
He's going to play the MAC most likely.
Yeah, I would think so. But think of like other guys they have from last year. Arthur Hobbs is back. Kenneth Magruder, who's already back. They got Dwayne Hollis. Who we already know is a stud in arena leagues and did a solid job with the flight last year, and of course is well known for his time with the Soul. Now he's going to be here and playing for Albany.
And they have a jack linebacker too. I think it's Nick, who used to play for the Jersey Flight.
Mm-hmm.
So still, they brought dudes back.
Yeah, Nick Hag is who you're talking about.
Like I've actually stayed on the show that Nick was one of the most underrated linebackers in the league last year.
Mm-hmm.
And
we'll talk about linebacking cores. Like last year, I thought him and Zach Mesday, both did a great job over there with Jersey. But
yeah,
I'm just serious. So they brought a lot of their guys that I'm like familiar with back or retooled. I mean, for crying out loud, they have like Jared Dangerfield and Desmond Epps are on this roster, according to this, and I'm like, how do you keep these guys? Are you gonna seriously rotate like one of the just keep rotating out? Like I know Prince will get that designation as the specialist. There's no question about it. Him and
the quarterback, yeah.
But you're just gonna start like maybe you have Grant over there, but your third receiver you just swap out like during the halves. Dangerfield's there, and it's like, oh, Epps the next half, no big deal. He'll get his time.
I think it's quarter. If you swap out in the quarter, you don't play that quarter. You can come back the next quarter. I think that's how. So you're gonna have Epps and Dangerfield most likely first quarter, second quarter, first quarter, second quarter.
Right, and see that's the strategy I want to watch play out because like their roster's built where it's a lot of guys you're going to be seeing like we're just going to flip them.
Of course, like I stated earlier on the show, they're building their roster like we don't care. You have to stop us.
Oh yeah, Tevin Homer's back, by the way. Just throw that one in there too. Like you seriously, he's gonna
be a defensive specialist. I think.
Maybe like Magruder's a all NAL guy though. And
yeah,
he could be the specialist. Hollis could be the specialist.
Like what you just said. They got better. How do you lose Tommy Grady and get better?
I don't know. I mean, Manas will be able to navigate this. I think there's number one because there's so much. Like even if they have to do this rotation style of it rather than doing just strict all Iron Men,
yeah,
they have so many people they can go to. As long as people are somewhat on the same page, it's going to be kind of hard to slow that down.
Yeah, like I've watched a lot of NAL games last year, man. The complete obliteration that Albany did. You go like all these teams were loaded last year and they did this. This year, all these teams are even better. And you look at Albany and go, and Albany's just there smoking a cigar, like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Come to the Capital Region, let's have some fun.
But honestly, like any team, it's a quarterback play. Mike Faithful is very capable of being the top tier quarterback in this league. He is coming back from an injury in his knee. Question is, as we said in the rankings, power rankings for the QBs, Sam Castronova kind of holds them back in the rankings. But I did see videos of Castronova in other games, just not in Carolina. Guy can sling it. So Manas sees something Castronova. And knowing Manas, and we've talked to him multiple times, I think there's a mindset in this Albany team, no matter who is behind center, if it's Mike Faithful or Castronova, that mindset is like, we don't care. Our goal is to score 80 points on you. You're going to stop us.
I think too, so last year, you had COVID restrictions in Albany that of course slowed down people getting into the stands. I mean, even like playoff time, they had COVID restrictions. They loosened and they came right back up when they got I believe it was their semifinal. They had them reinstituted, I think it was.
Yeah.
And so it's like this year they're like, look, we won a championship. We are going to put our best out there again to make you say, hey, come back and support us. We are the empire that you loved back in the AFL. And it should be opened up completely. No excuses, no questions asked. Let's get some butts and seats and make this place rocking and make it even louder, one of the top spots still in the league, that we know it can be. That's what I'm seeing here, not only roster-wise, promotion-wise, that's what they're doing. They know.
Now, if we want to do like power rankings for social media,
well, yeah, you could do a whole thing like that,
They're bringing out things every single day, and that's what I love to see. I love seeing Levesque interview Darius Prince. I love seeing interviews that you see Coach Moss. They have one for Faithful, just drop on their YouTube page and Twitter account, so people go follow them. Orlando's dropping stuff every single day now.
Yeah.
Carolina is every other day. Jackson's same thing. San Antonio's mostly just a Facebook, but they're doing a good job. So you can tell that the social media side of things of the NAL are starting to pick up. That's one thing I have a gripe about. You gotta do it all year. Just can't do it during the season.
It's some teams I think are having it rub off. So like that,
yeah.
we stressed it last year. We're gonna keep doing it this year, obviously. But like, hey, Jeff Levac, like his background is kind of more entertainment related.
Yeah.
He's team president, but he knows what you need to get some eyeballs on this.
But
So,
and one thing to the listeners that are listening to our podcast on YouTube, hello YouTubers, kind of late towards the end of the show, and but people are listening to the podcast. Call your local team, get tickets. Tickets are on sale now. Single game tickets from a lot of teams. I think Orlando and San Antonio are not doing single game tickets right now. But I know Jacksonville, Carolina, Albany, and Albany, and Columbus are doing single tickets. Now, get your tickets now. Cheap, family fun. Possibly, you may run into me and Zach in these games, especially in the tent outside. Possibly.
I'm definitely trying.
but support the league, man. Get your tickets now. I don't know the numbers. If so, I will give you the numbers to call. But usually you go to nationalarenaleague.com, go to tickets to your favorite team, get tickets, go enjoy a nice weekend, and enjoy the game. You'll fall in love with it like I did about 15 years ago.
Damn right. I'll find a way to make it to a game. That's the thing with being in Indianapolis. I'm like, all the teams are on the coast. So I'm like, great, not an ideal spot, but we'll find a way. Yeah. We'll find one of them. I've debated already two of the places. We'll get down there.
Yeah.
Jim, I don't know about you. I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's again, we apologize by not having Jonathan Bain this week, but we will get him in and possibly have a surprise other episode this week. Possibly if we get a hold of him, we may drop just an interview by itself. But overall, that's the news. News is picking up in the National Arena League a lot, so keep up to date with National Arena League news by official sources. You can follow In Walls Pod on all social media platforms. You can send us a DM. We might tell you what's going on. We're very friendly.
Yep.
So, like I said, with a lot of people out there, if you hear rumors about the National Arena League and our Twitter's not going off about it, saying official or hashtag breaking, then no, it's most likely not true. Or we may break news and the NAL will get mad at us because we broke the news. Then it's true. Like Mason Espinosa, for instance, they didn't like us breaking the news too early. But yeah, follow In Walls Pod on all social media platforms for up-to-date news, information about the National Arena League. And Zach, I think we have to finally make the announcement about it to the listeners and to our followers that listen to follow the indoor game inside for indoor football league and the championship indoor football. Me and Zach have pretty much kind of decided that we're sticking with the national.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of might as well get that out in the open there.
Yeah.
It's no offense to those that like those leagues. I trust me. I'll be the first to tell you I'm bullish on the CIF. Being frank, but I think that we like the NAL. We like the connections in the NAL that we talk with. We like the style and brand of play, and we feel like it's best to make a better show by focusing in on that one league. I will tell you, I worry about watering down my own takes on leagues with I mean I put on social my bio is I do too many shows. I sometimes worry about that. So this is one of those things I'd like to keep a focus. I think we discussed that off show. We want to keep that focus on what's going on with this. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I feel that. We welcome you all in all the same, but NAL is kind of where we're sticking with, just being frank.
And just so the people who messaged us about you guys doing some IFL coverage, we might bring up stuff like, did you see this game or this play or something?
Right.
We don't hate the game, the IFL. It's just that over the last 6 months, really, or the last couple of months, we've had some really deep connections, communications with everyone in the National League. And the people who listen to us from the league itself and from the 6 teams, they want us to stick with the National League. So we're not obligated to them. But as for me, who lives in Jacksonville, who goes to Jacksonville Shark games, I prefer the arena game more than the indoor game. There's a lot of things in the indoor game I'm like, it really aggravates me, but I'll still watch it. But if you want to get source for the National Arena League, go to nationalleague.com, or you can follow us on InWallsPod for up-to-date information of the National Arena League. And we may talk about the IFL, but not during the season NAL. When it's the NAL season, our focus is on our 6 organizations within the National Arena League, or 7, or 8, or 10 if we get expansion franchises. No, that's not giving you hints. I'm just saying if there's expansion franchises. If we get to a league that's 14 teams or 16 teams, we won't have time to cover another 2 leagues. So right now,
Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, as of right now, we're sticking with the National Arena League. So you can follow us at NWASPod. Like, share, subscribe to our podcast. We have giveaways when we hit the milestone. And remember, to prove it, tell us, show us. Just don't say, oh, we followed. No, you're going to have to, DM us your screenshots of you following the channels. If not, we'll know who you are because we'll see our channel too. But yes, for that, Zach, I just want to say to the National Arena League family, season 2 is basically here. We can say this is a season finale because the news is so rapid. Next month is season 2 of Inside the Walls podcast, and just want to say thank you to everyone who's listened to our shows, downloaded our shows. 120 overall listens to the Mason episode last week. Incredible. Real love you. And all the people who have contacted us over the last week saying, where have we been? I think we promised them back-to-back weekly shows, so that's my fault probably.
But I think we're into that now. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we're into it now.
So, damn it, this is season 2. So this is episode 25, end of season 1. Next week's is the season premiere. And so next week's on Inside the Walls podcast, we're joined by the other 2 psychopaths. I'm not talking about you, the Levesque and Gaza. But Levesque and Gaza will join us next week on Inside the Walls, talking Albany Empire football and just football in general. It's going to be a great conversation. So I'm looking forward to a great show. Thank you for the support, people.
Oh, I'm definitely excited to talk to those 2. Be sure to sub on our YouTube page. Again, we want to definitely do those giveaways. First one's 100 subs, so we're a quarter of the way there. Hopefully getting there sooner rather than later, trying to get there before the start of the season. So that'd be really nice if we could do that. Beyond that, follow us on social like Jim said, and we'll be back next week. For my partner, Jim Renier, I'm Zach Heilman saying so long. Remember one thing, though, before we end this show, we got to always give one last bit of advice.
Don't be a jack out of the box.
That never gets old, Jim.
Yeah, that never gets old. So Mason, when you play 2 ways, don't be the jack out of the box. I will laugh at you, man. Just say.
Stay tuned, folks.